Hi, I'm Chris and welcome back to the next video of the Mustang build series. So as you can see, I'm just marking up with the marker pen, found all those mould lines to sand away, and to be fair, I was really impressed with how this body was. The easiest one to spot was that one across the top just there, but the rest of him, it was quite a tough one. I mean, some parts I just had to guess, where it would continue, because there was hidden pretty well, to be fair, especially along the front sides of the bonnet. There was really tucked away quite nicely, but other than that, yeah, it's quite a clean body shell and no flash. So yeah, it was really nice to get marked up ready for sanding down, and hopefully I could do a good enough job on that roof where like the sensor would go as such. So just once I get this last line on, get that mould line covered up, I'm just going to let the ink dry for a few minutes. So what I'm going to do while it's just drying off for a few minutes is just look at the instruction book and just see if I can get the bumper on to the plastic body before any paint touches it. Would I need to tape it on? Would I be able to actually cement it on? And after looking at this, as you can see here, there's nothing too technical, nothing too difficult going on the inside of the bumper. I've worked on some Hiroshima kits where you've had to put the headlights into the back of the bumper before you put it onto the body shell. So sometimes you can't always attach the front bumper. But with this looks pretty simple. There's not much going on, so I will be attaching the front bumper before paint, which is obviously quite handy. So you're not having to risk taking it off and cracking any paint. So yeah, happy days. So I got the bumper off the sprue itself, and there was just 4 contact points to clean up. The 2 on the bottom, not too worried about, but the 2 on the sides, as you can see, the curve of the bumper shape itself on the outside of it, to be fair, it wasn't too difficult to tidy it up actually. As long as you're using a fairly fresh, clean, sharp blade, you shouldn't have any snags or issues, and you should be able to just shave any little bits off where it's been attached to the sprue pretty easily. So yeah, I was pretty happy with how clean that went. Just have a quick test fit of it there. It goes on really nicely, to be fair, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but in that front ridge there was like 2 recessed parts, whereas in the inside of the top of the bumper there was like 2 pins almost, which they sit into like locates itself, and it just sits in really nice, and I just think it's really well engineered. Time to get down to the wet sanding of the mould lines. So yeah, as you can see, I've got this old towel. I go through quite a lot of water, and yeah, do you know what? It didn't take too much effort at all. I have got this video speeded up at 4 times speed, by the way, so I don't actually work that fast. But yeah, there was hardly any work at all to take off the mould lines from the body shell, and I was really impressed with how it was. And what I'm going to do here now is, once I've just, I feel like I've got it, get the end of a cocktail stick, and where the mould lines were, just run that tip across very lightly and see if it snatches or snags. And for me, this didn't, so I was happy with the smoothness of the body shell where the mould lines were. So this is what I use to get the bodywork prepped each time, is this Tamiya sanding sponge, as you can see, the 600 grit. And it's great little sponge, and as you can see, you can cut it down into little tiny shapes, such as that. So that's the size I'm working on at the minute, so you can see how big the square is, and it can last quite a long time. And even after I've used this sponge once, I'll not chuck it away. I've got a little tub where I keep all the little offcuts that I've used, because they can come quite handy for just, once you've primed something, for example, or you've missed a bit, or just tidy it up. And to be fair, my son uses a few of the bits as well to tidy up his bits on his builds as well. And as you can see there, the roof bit, just sanding away, starting to get through that bit there. Obviously I'm heavier coming in from that side, because it's so far back to the roof. Going the other way, obviously you might catch the roof a little bit, and what I don't want to do is I don't want to lose the shape of the roof too much. So you can sand and sand and sand and sand, but if you keep them going, you're just going to lose the shape of the roof, and it'll just look odd. Truth be told, at the end of it, it wasn't completely flat. A little bit gutted, but I didn't want to jeopardise the roof shape, the lines and such. So what I've just got, I feel like I've got it as best as I can without losing too much shape. So now I've just got this dissolved putty, Mr. Hobby stuff. You give the bottle a good shake, and then just applying it over where the socket was, where the sensor would go in. Just applying it over there, and hopefully kind of like fill it. It's a bit like it looks. I think it's a bit like a sprue glue. So yeah, that's on there, and I'll just give it a few days now to dry, harden up, and cure or whatever. And then we'll come back and just give it a few more passes with a sanding sponge over the top of it. So what I'm doing here, I've actually been in, just got an old toothbrush under a cold running tap. Just give it a quick scrub, get off any residue from where I sanded it from at the start. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some of the thick white Tamiya cement on the contact points there, as you've seen, just to get a nice good hold. But as soon as it goes on, it just sits there, pretty damn well, to be fair. I'm quite pleased with how easy that was. You've got a big contact point across the front and the two tabs on either side. And the impressive thing about this is the tabs are actually quite long compared to some of the tabs from previous. So a little bit of Tamiya thin cement on them at the end, and it was all on nicely. So what I'm doing now is before getting primed, I like to try and remove as many contact points as possible. So especially with the roll cages, anything that you're going to see through the windows, I'll try and remove them contact points. So that roll cage there to the left of the middle of the screen at the minute, that's the contact points are there was across the roof lining, so you're not really going to see it. But that shape there, as you can see, the points that you will see, just take them off, so that it's try and leave as a few on if you can. So it's nice and sturdy on the sprue while you're spraying, but obviously you want to try and remove as many as you can without losing obviously the sturdiness. So you're getting a nice even paint job as such, so you don't have to do too much tidying up. The same again here on the chassis. I decided to take off the two side pins on either side, because the front ones and the back one you're not really going to see once the body's on. So obviously do all this prep before paint, and it's less work to do tidying up afterwards. What I also did there as well is on the chassis part, I actually took the edge of the sprue bit off, just so it's not going to restrict any priming, paint or anything going onto that whilst it's on the sprue, painting it up. You don't want any you don't want to miss any bits, from a stray bit of sprue that might be covering up a little bit of an area. So that's done, just go around and with, again, any contact points, a nice clean sharp blade, just carefully, gently, just in a way shave those areas to make them nice and smooth. I mean, they don't have to be perfect. You're not going to see it maybe as much as you would put off a spoiler or something on the exterior, but still you want it to get as nice as you can, but try not to stress too much. And with this sprue, when I was looking on this sprue, there's not much that I could really trim off really, apart from the main ones on the wiper blades. Again, there's something on the exterior you're going to see more than something on the interior, so I'll try and take as many off the wiper blades as possible. Luckily enough, they had quite a good anchor point at the base of the wiper blades to the sprue, so I took off the one there, the blades. Just looking around the rest of it, obviously the steering wheel, left it onto one contact point. Not sure what those tiny pieces are yet, the triangular shapes, but they had like a contact point on them, so I've just taken them off, cleaned them up. Anything like that grill there, it's got 3 points, doesn't need 3 points, so I'll take the middle one off, and then have a good look around. But again, I was pretty happy. The contact points aren't huge, so a lot of this, especially for the chassis parts, the subframes and as whatnot, you're not really going to see too much of it, so I don't mind as such if there's a few more contact points like you see on the rear drive axle there. You've got the two contact points on the drive shaft arms on either side. To be honest, I don't mind that, because once it's all primed up and once it's all sprayed up, once I take it off the contact points completely to detail it up, the contact points are that small. Once it's got a bit of paint on it, you're not really going to notice it, and especially, as I say, it's underneath. You're not really going to see much anyway. Two black sprues, there wasn't too much to tidy up, too many contact points to remove, so I was pretty happy with how it ended up really. Just removing a few contact points off the discs, calipers, and then everything's pretty much ready to go for priming. So one final look at this sprue, pretty happy, and I'll probably leave it as it is now, ready for priming. So here we have it. We have the body shell with the front bumper cemented on nicely. There might have been a little bit of cement, maybe seep through, maybe a little tiny bit, but a quick sand, it should be good to go. There was definitely a little bit come through on this side, but it won't take much work to tidy that up at all. Other than that, it's on pretty flush. Really happy with how it looks. To be honest, it's already looking really mean. Then on the roof, you can see we've applied the dissolved putty, and give it a few days. Hopefully it's filled that socket up where the black marker pen ink is, and then get it all primed up, and that'll be all in for the next video. So I just want to thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. So thanks very much for watching. Look after yourselves and see you next time. Cheers, thank you.